July 20th, 2026. Second Thomas Shoal. A Chinese Coast Guard vessel dispatches a small boat toward a rusting, grounded warship called the BRP Sierra Madre.
Filipino sailors launched 2 inflatable boats to intercept it.
What happens next is caught on camera. 8 Chinese personnel ram one of the Philippine craft.
Wooden battens and Wang in close combat on open water.
2 Philippine servicemen are injured and evacuated. No missiles were fired. No formal declaration was made. But 2 nuclear-armed powers just came dangerously close to a shooting war over a sandbar most Americans have never heard of. So why are the United States and China really circling each other in these waters?
And what happens if the next collision goes further?
But to understand how we got here, we need to go back decades.
China claims nearly the entire South China Sea through what is known as the 9-dash line, a boundary based on historical maps from the 1940s. Vietnam, Malaysia, Taiwan, and Brunei all dispute portions of that claim.
In 2016, the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague ruled largely in favor of the Philippines, rejecting the legal basis for China's sweeping claims.
Beijing rejected the ruling outright, calling it invalid, and has never recognized. This was not a technicality. It was the moment the legal argument ended and the physical contest began.
Now look at the scale of what China has actually built here.
According to the Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, Chinese Coast Guard vessels spent 993 ship days patrolling around Scarborough Shoal in June 2026 alone. That is nearly as many days as China spent there during the entirety of 2025. Just days before the conflict, China formally designated part of the shoal as a nature reserve.
The Philippines calls the same rocks Bajo de Maciel.
Both nations claim ownership.
Only one has Coast Guard ships parked there almost every day of the year.
The timing was not a...
The world did not stay silent. Within a week of the Second Thomas Shoal incident, a third confrontation erupted, this time at Scarborough Shoal, with a CNN crew aboard a Philippine vessel witnessing water cannons fired at close range. The Philippines formally protested. The United States is bound to Manila by a decades-old treaty, and our commitment to that alliance is ironclad.
American officials condemned China's actions as coercive attempts to seize territory at its neighbor's expense.
Then came a quieter, more telling move. The U.S. repositioned Coast Guard vessels from Bahrain. They were sent to the Eastern Pacific. Washington was not just talking, it was repositioning assets. But here is what most coverage leaves out. This is not really a war.
It is a war being fought with paramilitary forces, specifically because open war would trigger America's defense treaty obligations.
China's Coast Guard and its maritime militia, fishing vessels operating under state direction, allow Beijing to apply pressure without forcing a U.S. military response. Trillions of dollars in global trade pass through the South China Sea every year. Add to that undersea oil and gas reserves and some of the richest fishing grounds on Earth, and the incentive to control these waters, without ever technically declaring war for them, becomes obvious. This was not an accident.
It is a strategy engineered to stay just below the line that would force Washington's hand.
So what happens next? History offers a warning. Gray zone standoffs like this have a pattern. They escalate gradually, until a single miscalculation forces a crisis. Damaged and divided, the vessel began its final. The sailor was seriously injured. Trapped deep within the and under the Mutual Defense Treaty, An armed attack on Philippine forces in the Pacific, including their Coast Guard, could obligate the United States to respond militarily.
Every incident in these waters, the Sabina Shoal confrontation in December 2025 that left Filipino fishermen wounded, the repeated water cannon attacks on the resupply
vessel Uniza May 4 in 2024. Each one raises the odds that eventually someone doesn't walk away. So here is the honest verdict.
Layer 1 is what you see. Chinese Coast Guard ships against Philippine sailors. Layer 2 is the system behind it, an alliance structure binding Washington to Manila, and a decades-old legal ruling Beijing refuses to accept. Layer 3 is who actually benefits from this staying unresolved. Beijing extends practical control without firing a shot. Washington is actively reinforcing its strategic case. They are seeking a much larger military presence across the Indo-Pacific. And defense industries on both sides of the Pacific profit from a standoff that never quite becomes a war, but never quite goes away either. Nobody wins a clean victory here. But almost everybody involved has a reason to keep the tension alive, rather than solve it.
For American and British viewers, this might look like a distant territorial squabble.
It isn't. A treaty obligation genuinely could pull the United States into direct conflict with China. Not over Taiwan, but over a sandbar defended by a rusting World War II wreck. Global shipping, global oil prices, and the credibility of America's entire Pacific alliance system all run through these contested waters.
So here's the question.
Should the United States be willing to risk a military confrontation with China? Over disputed reefs the average American couldn't find on a map? Or is this exactly the kind of tripwire that keeps larger wars from starting in the first place? Let us know in the comments what you think. If you like this video, please subscribe and share.
And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching.
वीडियोस बनाने हैं फिल्मोरा है ना।